Hello. Most of you that are familiar with dark will also be familiar with the sleeves that it comes presented in. Usually colour gatefold sleeves. This one is an Akama. Don't get me started on this, although this is actually one of the original legitimate sleeves. As you can see, it is a traditional gatefold, which is basically like two single sleeves glued together. One end is open to take the LP and the other side is usually sealed. That is the case with most double gatefold sleeves, unless of course they're holding a double album. This is the Machu Picchu version. Again, same thing, traditional gatefold sleeve, sealed one side, open the other to take the LP. Now, the sleeve I designed is not actually a traditional gatefold sleeve. It is a gatefold. I think Amiga Auctions classified it as a reverse opening gatefold. I don't know if that's an actual term, but that's what they called it. But here's one I mocked up recently, made a replica of how I produced my original gatefold sleeve. It's basically a single sleeve, like so. That's the single sleeve with a card flap which I glued inside the opening to fold over the opening of the single sleeve. Now the way I did it, if you look at it as though that was a single sleeve album, the track listing side was on the front of the single sleeve with the group shot on the reverse, and then on the flap, which I glued into the opening of the single sleeve, you got the montage of the photographs taken in the studio, and on the reverse of that is the famous girl on the settee photo. But the thing is, as I designed it, that was supposed to be the front of the album. So if you open this as though it were a book, it opens like so. So from that, you can see that the front is actually the group shot on the building site, with the girl on the settee on the reverse. I produced these in colour and black and white, and the black and white is exactly the same construction, but the single sleeve versions I made, it's obvious which I intended to have on the front, and that is that shot with the girl on the settee on the back, and the single sleeves only come in black and white versions. So that is actually how I produced the dark round the edges original sleeves. And just to show you that that is the case, I do have here an original colour gatefold dark round the edges sleeve produced by myself as I sat in my parents' dining room on the dining room table and produced everything there. I actually used photographs which I stuck on the actual plain white sleeves and on the flap that I glued on the inside of the opening of the flap. So here we have it, exactly the same as my replica. A single sleeve. I've got to be careful with this because this is actually Clive's original sleeve. It doesn't include the album, I've kept that separately and safe. So there we have the single sleeve, track listing shot photograph, which again is a photograph I glued in. And then the single piece of card which I glued into the opening so that it folded over the opening. And again, if you open it like a book, it's obvious that the group shot on the building site is intended to be the front of the album, with the famous girl on the settee shot, which is now synonymous with virtually all dark round the edges albums. So there we have it, an original colour gatefold dark round the edges sleeve. And for those in the know, which probably also helped to misdirect people into thinking what is the front and what is the back of the album, I actually hand wrote all the details down the spine of what is actually the single sleeve. So that if you look at it as a traditional single sleeve, you've got the spine information there, and that therefore appears to be the front and that appears to be the back, but that is not how I intended it to be. But obviously, as I only glued a single sheet of card over the flap, I couldn't do the writing down the spine that way, so that would look to be the front of the cover. Hence, probably part of the misunderstanding is caused by that. Okay, guys, thanks for watching. Hope that has interested you, and for some of you it's probably the first time you've actually seen an original colour gatefold sleeve in the flesh. Thanks.